Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to explain the depth of cuts parameters that allows you to create additional Z cuts for roughing and finishing a profile. The depth of cuts parameters that I'm explaining are from the contour toolpath, but most of the parameters are going to be available in all the other mill and router toolpaths. Maximum rough step sets the maximum depth for each pass. Mastercam can use this value or a smaller value to create equal depth of cuts. The finish number of cuts sets the number of finish passes in Z, and the finish step sets the amount of material each finish pass will remove. You can override the feed rate and the spindle speed set in the tool page. Keep tool down does not allow the tool to retract to the retract height. Subprogram outputs a subprogram in the NC file indicating that a section of the operation is repeated at a different depth, and determines if the depths should be written in absolute or incremental coordinates. Depth cut direction set to step down cuts from the top to bottom, and depth cut direction set to step up cuts from the bottom to the top. You can enable undercut when using an undercut tool. This function will support the tool compensation. Depth cut order determines the order of the depth cuts based on the selected option. By region or by contour, by pocket, performs all the depth cuts in a region, contour or pocket before moving to the next contour or region. By depth, creates depth cuts at the same level in every contour or region and then descends to the next depth cut level. This option can be used for thin wall parts from soft materials such as aluminum or graphite. Taper wall angles the depth cuts from the top of the stock to the final depth. It's used to rough the pockets that have a taper wall. The angle is measured from 90 degrees. One important fact that you have to keep in mind is that Mastercam creates equal roughing steps, not bigger than the maximum rough step. For example, if the total depth is set to 1 inch, the maximum rough step is set to 1/4 of inch, and you have a finish step set to 50 thou, Mastercam will divide in equal steps the remaining 0.95, which is the result of 1 inch minus the 50 thou, the finish step. And then the rough step that will be used is going to be 0.2375 and not the 1/4 of inch. Back in Mastercam, I have a Mastercam file named Depthcuts, and I have already 4 operations generated for this part. I will explain the different options in the depth cuts using these 4 contour toolpaths. The first contour operation machines the outside profile, as you could see. In the parameters, I have in the depth of cuts the maximum rough step set to 1/4 of inch, the number of finish cuts set to 1, and the step for the finish set to 50 thou. Remember that you can override the feed rate and the spindle speed set in the tool page. And because there is nothing to interfere with the tool path, I have keep tool down for this operation. In the linking parameters, I have a depth of 1 inch. Last fact that I mentioned in the PowerPoint was how Mastercam will maintain an equal roughing step, and we already did the math for this one. We'll check it in the back plot and see if the roughing step is actually 0.2375. Okay for now, and let's check the toolpath in back plot. Just going to go step by step, but before I do that, I will expand this dialog box and leave the details on so I can see the information about the tool movements. I will see the X, Y, and Z values at each point along the toolpath. So you can see that the first depth of cut, it's actually that 0.2375, which will be maintained for each equal roughing steps. And then at the bottom I have the finish step that 50 tau will be kept by the system to be removed at the final depth. Okay for now. In the second operation, I'm finishing the taper walls. In order to do that, in the parameters in the depth cuts, I set the maximum rough step to 50 tau. This is a big step for a finish operation. You could probably use 1 tau and even a smaller step for it to get a nice finish on the walls. One finish cut at the bottom, same value. And what is important here is that I enable taper walls and I set up the angle according to the angle on the geometry. 15 degrees, as you could see. If I backplot this toolpath, you are going to see that the tool will take the first depth of cut, in our case 50 tau, and it will finish the walls all the way around and then gets back to the starting position and will take another step down, and then is basically offsetting the first pass inside, maintaining that 15 degrees angle. So the tool moves in Z and also in X and Y. Again, another depth of cut and then moving along X and Y plane like this. It's not going to be a great finish on the walls right now. The roughing step should be smaller than what I choose, but this is one way in which you can machine pockets with taper walls. Okay, for now. In the third contour, what I want to explain is the different options that you have on how the tool machines multiple contours or multiple pockets. In the parameters, in the depth of cuts, you have depth cut orders set currently by contour, which tells Mastercam to finish completely one contour or one pocket or one region, and then retract and jump to the next pocket and again perform all the depth of cuts required on that one, roughing and finishing, and then it could move to a different pocket. I still have the keep tool down. I usually don't leave this on pockets, especially if you have any kind of islands or semi-islands inside of it. But those two are pretty clean, so you don't need to retract the tool. Okay, for now, I'm going to backplot the toolpath. You can see how it starts in the first selected pocket and is doing all the roughing depth of cuts, and then it will do the finish step at the bottom and then jumps to the next pocket and does the same thing, all the roughing passes followed by the finish at the bottom. Okay, for now to exit this contour operation. And in the last one, as I mentioned before, I have the depth of cut order set by depth. And in this case, Mastercam is going to take first depth of cut on the first pocket, and then will retract and move to the second pocket, take the same depth of cut, come back to the first pocket, take an extra depth of cut, and so on. It will keep move between the two pockets. Okay, for now, in the back plot, you will see that it's taking the first depth of cut in the first pocket and then retracts and goes to the second pocket, take the same amount of depth of cut and retracts, goes back to the first pocket, and it's keep doing this. This option is a good option when you have thin walls between the pockets. It's not our case, but I just wanted to demonstrate the feature. Okay, for now, this concludes my presentation on Depthcuts parameters.